right, guys, welcome back. The amp of the week is the Orion Ztreet. They probably want you to call this a Ztreet. I don't know. I'm not doing that. I'm calling it a Ztreet. I think it's a goofy name anyway. 8,000 watts. Wow. That's a huge claim. But it's the ZT-8000.1DS. Best performance when powered by Orion amplifier. Customer direct line. Interesting. Okay, so y'all know we did the Cobalt. It's been several months now. I think it's been about 10 months since we did that Cobalt 4500. I think the Ztreet line is the very entry-level stuff. I think next would be the Cobalt. I think next would be the XTR. And then top of the food chain for Orion, I think would be the HCCA. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Here's what the outside of the box looks like. Y'all know Orion has those weird ratings. Power watts at 1 ohm. Watts nominal at 1 ohm. Max music power watts at 1 ohm. I don't know. Are these RMS watts? 2,000 watts RMS? So we got 2,000, 4,000, 8,000. And it doesn't give any other ratings for like a 2 ohm or a 4 ohm. Only the 1 ohm. So that's interesting. Anyhow, that's what you get. Let's look at the amp itself. I have already taken it out of the box. There she is. I don't know how much this amp weighs. I'd say it feels kind of medium. It doesn't feel super lightweight and cheesy. It's got some dust in it, but it also doesn't feel like real hefty, like when I pick up a Rockford Fosgate or a JP or one of those. But that's what you got. The Orion Ztreet, model number, 8,000 watts, and then 1-channel Class D monoblock amplifier, 1 ohm stable. I mean, that's pretty much what everybody wants these days for subwoofers. Class D monoblock, 1 ohm stable. I'm getting my fingerprints all over it. Let's look at the ends. So right away, I like that we have input and output RCAs. You've got plastic knobs here. You got a gain, a low pass, subsonic bass boost, and a phase that's just 0 or 180. Let's go back here. Low pass, 40 hertz to 250. Subsonic, 15 hertz to 50 hertz. Bass boost, 0 to 12 dB. And then your bass knob and a power and protect light that serve, one light that serves for both. The other end. All right, this is interesting to me. First, 3 35 amp fuses. So what is that? 105, 105 amps of fusing, and it claims to be at 8K. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, even that 2K, but with 105 amps of fusing, something ain't right. Something ain't right. This is also a little weird to me. They give you the big zeros, which is kind of cool. So that makes you wonder, like, golly, how much is this thing gonna do? Because usually a 1,000 watt amplifier has 4 gauge. You know what I'm saying? The type of amp that would have that much fusing usually has 4 gauge power and ground. So I don't mind the zeros. I like zeros, but they give you 10 gauge speaker wires. So they went big here, a little bit small here. If they were going to give you zeros, they should have gave us 8 gauge. Or if they're going to give us 10 gauge, they should have gave us 4 gauge. I don't know. Anyhow, then you got the remote in the middle. It looks the same. Looks like another 10 gauge for the remote. I don't mind the look of the amp. I think it looks decent. There's the back. Okay, this is cool. I like that they put the birth date right on it. So this amp is, gosh, a little over 2 years old. I just bought this amp brand new off of Amazon a couple of weeks ago, and it is now October the 1st of 2021. I don't know when I'm gonna post this video, but today is October the 1st of 2023. I think I said 21. And this was made in September of 21. So it's now a little bit over, I guess by the time I bought it, it was September of 23. So either way, 2 years old, that's not that big a deal. There's probably a lot of amps that sit in a warehouse for 2 years. But guys, I say let's hook it up. Let's do a 4 ohm, 2 ohm, 1 ohm. Let's do certified, uncertified, and dynamic. And I'd also like to put it on those 2 SCAR 12s. That's the kind of thing people are probably gonna buy this for. Guys, I end up meeting with a lot of people because I sell these amps on Marketplace. So I get the opportunity to talk to people about audio, which I love. It's really cool. Some of the conversations I've gotten into and seeing some of these people's rides. But I'm just telling you, this is the kind of amp that somebody would show up with already running in their vehicle on something like a couple of SCAR 12s, entry-level SCAR 12s, or maybe that's what they want to buy this for. But anyhow, this would work on 8s, 10s, 12s, 15s. Just don't try to put something like this on, you know, $1,000 subwoofer. Because I'm just saying, with that fusing, this ain't gonna give us the kind of output that a Sundown X or a Sundown Z or something like that is gonna want. Anyhow, enough rambling. Guys, let's hook it up to the dyno. Let's see what she does. Thanks for tuning in. I can't believe I didn't show you what comes in the box. A manual, a decent manual. It covers all the amps in this line. And I will tell you this, it's got those same ratings, those 1 ohm ratings that's on the box is the same that's in there. You get a cool Orion sticker, which I like. I used to like to see the Orion stickers on people's vehicles back in the early 90s. I always wanted that type of stuff. Couldn't afford it. I had some relatively cheesy stuff my first year or two in car audio. A bass knob, look, they already hook it up for you, so you don't have to plug it in. This is a pretty plain bass knob with no lights. Is it one of the ones? Yeah, it turns smoothly. I don't like the ones that have the clicks. And they even give you some screws and washers. All right, sorry that I left that out. All right, let's get on to the dyno testing. All right, guys, let's get to the power testing. It's the Orion Ztreet, kind of like retreat, but with a Z. ZT-8000.1DS. The manual and the box only show a 1 ohm rating, but it's got those weird ratings. See over there on the left, power watts at 1 ohm mono, watts nominal at 1 ohm, max music power watts at 1 ohm. And then all the way over to the right, we have the 8,000, 2,000, 4,000, 8,000. So is the power watts, is that an RMS rating? I don't know, but it doesn't give any ratings for 2 ohms or 4 ohms. This is gonna be a 4 ohm run. We're gonna do a 4, a 2, and a 1. We're starting off at 14.8 volts, and we're gonna capture the current draw. Let's get to the track. 40 hertz. What's it gonna do? .430. The voltage dropped to 14.7. The current draw was 46.8. All right, let's reset these. And let's do that Dynamic track. Let's see. Okay, this is going to be 4 ohm dynamic. Let's see what it does. Four 445. Has it got any more left in it? 445 dynamically. That wasn't quick enough. I wonder if I put this in the inrush mode. You know what though? I don't think it'll do inrush on DC. All right, so 445 dynamically. Let me rewire this to 2 ohms and we'll see what it does at 2 ohms. All right, we're wired at 2 ohms, 14.8, gonna capture the current. What's it gonna do at 2 ohms? 40 hertz. Well, I tell you guys, I am not with it today. Here we go. So much to remember here in doing all of this. 40 hertz, 2 ohms. All right, 694. The voltage dropped to 14.6 and the current draw was 82.5. Okay, let's zero these out again. And let's get us a dynamic number. Let's see, which track? Which track? All right, let's get us a dynamic number here. 40 hertz. Dynamic. 752. Nice. 752. All right, cool. All right, let's wire it to 1 ohm, see what it'll do at 1 ohm. Are we gonna see that 2,000 watts? I don't know, but as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we've got 105 amps of fusing. So we already know that 2,000 watts is not very likely at all. I'm kind of wondering at this point, are we gonna see 1,000 watts? Sit tight for a second. All right, it's 1 ohm. Are we gonna see 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, or none of the above? Let's start the track. Oh man, 949. The clip light never came on. Sometimes amps will do that. 14.5 volts, 125.8 amps. Ooh, it's quite a bit short of what it said. She is pretty warm now. Let's reset these things. Let's do a 40 hertz. Dynamic. Oh, okay. That was a nice little jump. 1151. Let's see. Yeah, 1151 dynamically. Those dynamic hits are a little too quick to capture the amperage and I think sometimes that voltage too. All right, guys, there's the Orion Ztreet. I don't know if is that supposed to say street? I don't know. I refuse to call that an Orion Ztreet with them putting that Z in there. So anyhow, that's what you get. Hey, should we put this on those 2 SCAR 12s? You know that somebody buying this amp is gonna put this thing on 2 SCAR 12s. I'm cutting up I'm cutting up here a little bit, but I feel like we've got to put it on the 2 SCAR 12s. All right, stay tuned for that. Guys, real quick, I've got to show this. The reason why that thing only hit once and you didn't see the distortion light and the signal light keep going for the dynamic is because it went into protect. I just noticed that right after I turned the camera off. All right, I'm going to, let's do this. Let's just do it on camera. I turned the amp off. Let's do something here. Let's zero these out and put this back on a let's do another dyno run at 1 ohm. I want to see if this amp is still all right. It came out of protect. It didn't like that dynamic at 1 ohm. Let's start the track. Let's do another 40 hertz at 1 ohm. Okay, 948. Yeah, 14.5 and 125.9. Wow, that's crazy. I'm gonna pause the track. Yeah, everything's good with it. That's crazy that it went into protect on dynamic, but not uncertified. I don't know, but everything's okay with it. All right, so now let's put this on the 2 SCAR 12s. Stay tuned. All right, guys, thank y'all for staying here to the end. We got this thing hooked up to the 2 SCAR 12s. These are the SDR 12s. Is this thing gonna do that 1151 dynamically on subs? Remember that run was a little bit messed up because the amp went into protect at the same time that it did that. But let's see what it will do dynamically on 2 SCAR 12s. They are wired to 1 ohm. And is this amp gonna like that 1 ohm load on music? It should. That's what it's rated to do. It says right there, 1 channel Class D monoblock, 1 ohm stable. All right, let's get to the music. Let's see here. All right, guys. Yeah, it did good. And it did 1,293 watts. And the amp is nice and happy. So I'll say this, that sounded good. Another amp right in the sweet spot for stock electrical. Especially if you're talking about a full-size SUV or truck, you know, something that's coming, you know, with a decent sized battery and 130 or 40 or more amp alternator. You know, at just under 1,000 watts, you see this amp can push a couple of 12s real well, and it would do that on stock electrical. I'm still confused. So they give you 0 gauge inputs here. I had to get the zeros out, no problem. But I had to use 10 gauge on the speaker wires because the 8 gauge wouldn't fit. So it's kind of interesting to me that they went to the point of doing zeros. Most amps that I test that put out this kind of power has 4 gauge power and ground. I certainly don't mind the zeros, but it's funny that they went big on the power and ground and a little bit small on the speaker. But anyhow, I'll be honest with you guys, I think this amp is pretty decent for the money that you can pick this up at and the power that you get. 1 ohm stable, Class D monoblock. I don't know. I mean, I might make fun of this amp a little bit, but to be honest, it did a good job. And it's I don't know, probably a decent starter amp. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing. You don't want to miss what's coming up next on the channel. And thanks everybody so much for their support. All right, until next time.